I discovered my brother was secretly paying our dad's rent for 2 years. Every month, Dad would show me receipts from his new job, proving he was finally getting back on his feet after Mom died. He seemed so proud of himself, but something felt off when he kept avoiding family dinners at his place. One day, I surprised him with lunch and found his apartment completely empty. No furniture, no food, nothing. Just a sleeping bag on the floor. My heart stopped. I called my brother right away, worried sick. That's when he broke down and told me everything. Dad had lost his job months after Mom passed. The receipts were fake. He was too ashamed to tell us he couldn't find work. My brother had been working double shifts at the hospital, secretly paying Dad's rent so he wouldn't end up homeless. He made Dad promise not to tell me because he knew I was struggling with student loans. But here's what broke me. Dad wasn't spending his days job hunting like we thought. The neighbor told me he was volunteering at Mom's old senior center, helping other elderly people because that's what Mom used to do. He couldn't handle paid work after her death, but he found purpose in carrying on her legacy. I hugged Dad for the first time in months that day. Sometimes the biggest acts of love are the ones we never know about. My brother's sacrifice, Dad's volunteer work. Now we're helping Dad heal together. Pride means nothing when family needs you. What has your child's school done that got you so mad you went in and read the riot act to the teacher or principal? My daughter called from school saying she'd been suspended for fighting. She wouldn't say much, just that the principal gave her a 2-week suspension. I went home, grounded her, and took her phone. Then calls from other girls started rolling in. Turns out, a jock from a wealthy family had a habit of grabbing girls, and my daughter was one of his targets. She fought back, and he ended up in the ER. I ungrounded her, and she finally told me what happened. The next morning, I took her to school, and the principal stopped us at the door, saying she was suspended. I told him we were going to his office, unless he wanted to do this outside. In his office, I told him my daughter's suspension had to be lifted and that the boy had a choice: 30-day suspension with mental evaluation or felony charges. The principal called the boy's mom, who threatened to charge my daughter. I said, "Let the police sort it. Your son has a history, and I have witnesses." Then the principal dropped a bomb. "You don't want to mess with one of the finest families in the city." That's when I realized he was covering for the boy because he was connected to the family. I told him, "I don't make threats, I make promises. Someone needs to teach this kid that this behavior won't be tolerated before he winds up in prison." The boy got suspended, transferred, and my daughter's record was cleared.
What is the saddest thing you have heard a child say? I was a doctor working in the ER when they rushed in a little boy, no older than 6, with burns covering 70% of his body. It was horrifying. His skin was charred, his breathing was shallow, and yet he was fully conscious. The moment I spoke to him, he didn't ask about the pain. He didn't ask if he would be okay. His only concern? "I can't miss school on Monday. My mom will be mad. She needs the money." His words shattered me. They were very poor, and his mother relied on the government assistance she got as long as he stayed in school. The worst part? I already knew he wasn't going to make it. There was nothing we could do. At first, we thought it was a tragic alcohol accident, a spill near an open flame, but something felt off. The burns were too deliberate, like the fire had clung to him unnaturally. Then, as I checked his arms, I noticed old scars, small circular burns, too many to be accidents. A nurse leaned in, her face pale. He said something strange, something about the fire being a punishment. That's when the truth unraveled. The boy wasn't just in an accident. His mother had been doing this for years. When he misbehaved, she would force his hand into the fire pit for a few seconds as punishment. But this time, she had been holding a bottle of alcohol. When she yanked him toward the flames, the liquid splashed over him, igniting his entire body. Yet, even in agony, even knowing he was dying, he still protected her. Days later, as his body failed, his last words were a quiet, fragile question. "Do you think they have yogurt in heaven?" I cried for days. I saved my little sister from my mom's new husband, and now my whole family hates me. My sister Emma is only 13, and mom remarried last year to Dave. At first, he seemed nice, buying Emma expensive gifts and taking her shopping, but something felt off. The way he'd watch her eat at family dinners made my skin crawl. When Emma stayed at my apartment last month, I noticed she barely touched her food. She used to love my mac and cheese. It was our special comfort meal since Dad passed away 3 years ago. That's when she broke down crying. Dave had been making comments about her weight, calling her chubby, and hiding snacks from her. He'd even started weighing her every morning before school. Mom didn't believe us when we told her. She said Dave was just trying to help, and that Emma was too sensitive. But I saw the food diary Dave made Emma keep, where he wrote cruel comments in red pen and how he'd yell if she ate anything unhealthy. He even installed cameras in the kitchen to monitor her. Last week, Emma texted me at 2 a.m. Dave had thrown away her dinner because she got a B+ in math. She hadn't eaten all day. I drove over immediately. When I got there, Dave was screaming about discipline while mom just stood there. I packed Emma's bags right then. Dave tried to stop us, saying I was overreacting. Now Emma lives with me. Mom keeps calling, saying I'm destroying her marriage. The rest of the family thinks I'm causing drama. But yesterday, Emma ate a whole burger without crying. She's finally smiling again. That's all I need to know. I did the right thing.
I told my parents I won't change my name because of their regret. I legally changed my name to Atlas when I turned 18. My birth certificate had Michael William Reynolds Jr. on it, named after my father who walked out when I was 2. For 16 years, I hated being called Junior or Little Mike. Every time someone said my name, it felt like dragging around the shadow of a man who decided we weren't worth keeping. School always started the same. Michael Reynolds, the teacher would call. "I go by MJ, I'd answer, trying to create distance. Mom worked 2 jobs after he left. She'd help with homework despite being exhausted and never complained. Not even when grandparents would say, he looks more like his father every day, as if that was a compliment. When I was 15, Mom started dating David. He was nothing like my father, quiet, reliable, with a dry sense of humor. An English professor who wore sweater vests and collected maps. His first visit, he brought me a journal instead of forcing some guy bonding activity. David never tried to replace my dad. He just showed up. He came to baseball games with his grading work, occasionally looking up to cheer. He helped with college applications and never made me feel like a burden. Once I heard him tell Mom, he's not my son, but I couldn't be prouder if he was. Before senior year, I researched name changes. Nothing felt right until I remembered a book David gave me about Greek mythology. Atlas, the titan who held up the heavens. That resonated. When I told them my plan, Mom was supportive, supportive but confused. Why Atlas? She asked. Because Atlas carried the world on his shoulders. That's how I felt, carrying Dad's name when he couldn't carry his responsibilities. At least Atlas never put down his burden and walked away. David nodded. Names have power. They tell a story. Exactly. I want to tell my own. After my birthday, I filed the paperwork. 6 weeks later, I became Atlas Reynolds. My first college letter addressed to my new name is still pinned to my board. Everything was fine until last week when my biological father called. Mom handed me the phone with a strange look. Junior? How's my little Michael Jr.? My stomach dropped. That person doesn't exist anymore. What? My name is Atlas now. He laughed like it was a joke. That's not your name. You're Michael William Reynolds Jr. Named you myself. Right before you left, I added. I legally changed it. He said he was changed. Sorry. Wanted to reconnect. He'd moved back to town with his new family but wanted to make things right with his first son. He kept repeating my old name like he could force it back onto me. Yesterday I found his car in our driveway. Mom and David sat stiffly in the living room with my biological father on our couch like he belonged there. They ambushed me with dinner. Mom kept giving apologetic glances. David was quiet. My father dominated with stories about his new life, kids, and business. At dessert, he addressed the elephant in the room. So you've changed your name to Atlas? Like the map book? Like the Titan, I corrected. Well, he chuckled. Time to reconsider. You're starting college soon. Reynolds men have carried the Michael name for generations. 3, Mom said quietly. 3 generations. He waved her off. You're erasing your heritage, acting impulsively. I understand you were angry. Were? I repeated. But changing your name is extreme and hurtful. David cleared his throat. Atlas has given this a lot of thought. My father's eyes flashed. With all due respect, this isn't about you. I stood up and looked him straight in the eyes. Those eyes people said I inherited. You erased yourself from my life when I was 2. I won't change back to a name that reminds me of your regret. I'm Atlas now, carrying my own world, not yours. He argued I was being dramatic, that family names matter, that I'd regret this. I shook my head. The only thing I regret is taking 18 years to realize I could put down a burden I never asked to carry. Later, David joined me outside with hot chocolate. For what it's worth, he said, Atlas suits you. And somehow, I felt lighter than ever before.